Thank you for joining me today. Today we are going to be making a really delicious fall dinner. And it's two different items that I'm going to be making. Now, I went ahead and calculated all the nutritional value so that it fit into the Trim Healthy Mama plan. So these are going to be considered, each of them are going to be considered an S meal on Trim Healthy Mama if you're following that program. So the first one is called a broccoli cheese spoon bread. Now I got this out of a kind of a low fat cookbook, and it was really a good recipe. It's really low in calories. It's actually made with broccoli and some different items, and I'll show you how we put that together a little later. And then we are going to be making some homemade chicken soup. We're going to make the homemade broth, the soup, everything. So if you are in the mood for a delicious fall meal, you're going to love this meal today. So I've just returned from the grocery store. I have everything that I need for the week. And so now I'm going to show you how I make my chicken soup. This is so good. I start off, I always save like leftover bones. This was actually a rotisserie chicken that somebody brought to a party about a month ago at my house. So I went ahead and took all the chicken off the bones, and then I saved the bones for soup. And then I have 4 chicken thighs that I've removed the skin from, and we're gonna put those in because I am gonna take the chicken off that and then start cooking up our soup. So to make it really easy, we're gonna do this today in the Instant Pot. So if you've never used an Instant Pot, it's very simple. It's basically a pressure cooker, and it cooks your food faster. It makes it really tender. And so I actually have a smaller and a larger Instant Pot. So I'm gonna use the smaller one today because I only need broth, and I'll show you how I do that. So this is my Instant Pot. All I'm gonna do is add my chicken bones to the pot. I've actually got a whole chicken carcass in this case. And then I'm gonna be adding my 4 thighs to this. And then I'm gonna be adding water. So I actually have some filtered water that I'm gonna be adding to this. So all I'm gonna do now, I don't add any seasonings to this at this point. All I do is cook the chicken bones and the chicken, and we're gonna be seasoning up when we make our soup a little later. So all I'm gonna do is hook up my Instant Pot. So my Instant Pot is set. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm not gonna do anything to it at this point. As soon as it's done, I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. So while our broth is cooking, we're gonna go ahead and get this broccoli cheese spoon bread started. Now I'm gonna put all of the nutritional information down below in the description, as well as both of the recipes for my soup and my bread. So we're gonna start off by adding some fat-free evaporated milk and heat this up on the stove. Then we're gonna be adding some yellow cornmeal to the milk, and we're gonna cook this over the stove for approximately 2 to 3 minutes until this begins to thicken. This is what the mixture will look like. So the cornmeal was cooked 2 to 3 minutes. I kept stirring it. It's now thickened, and the recipe calls for some sugar, salt, and pepper. I'm actually going to be using some monk fruit sweetener, a half a teaspoon instead of sugar. And then I'm also going to be putting in some ground black pepper. Now it says you could use white pepper as well. We're just going to stir that up while it's warm. Now we're going to put our eggs in a small bowl. All right, I'm just going to mix together the egg whites and the 2 eggs and the 2 egg whites. I'm just going to mix those together. Then it says to temper them, so we're going to add a little bit of this cheesy mixture. To be very careful because we don't want to scramble our eggs. All right, as soon as you're confident that it's tempered, you'll add this back into your cornmeal and milk mixture. I just think this will be an easier way to blend this mixture up together. All right, let's give that a little blend. Okay, ignore everything I just did. I was supposed to put the egg whites in another bowl and whip them up and fold them in. So hopefully this comes out. I'm not sure at this point. All right, so we're gonna take our broccoli and we're gonna kind of break it up a little bit. It's just these huge pieces of broccoli. Plus I wanna be able to drain it a little. All right, now we're gonna drain this broccoli because we wanna get some of the water out of that so that our bread cooks. So all I'm gonna do is just kind of squeeze some of this liquid into this bowl. This broccoli has all been defrosted and chopped up. All right, that looks pretty good. Look at all that extra liquid. All right, so we're gonna put this into our mixture here. Now that it's much more dry and manageable. All right, now we're just gonna give this a stir. All right, so all we're gonna do now is just pour this mixture into our pan. And we're gonna put it in a preheated oven at 375 degrees. Now we're just gonna put a little bit more cheese right over the top. We're gonna bake this for 45 to 50 minutes until it's done. So my soup is all ready. My broth, I've drained all the bones out of it and I've taken all the chicken off the bones. So let me show you what I ended up with. It looks delicious. So this is my broth right here. I've got a nice chicken broth. And to this, I'm actually gonna be adding some shredded chicken. I got some of this off the rotisserie chicken and some of it I got off the chicken thighs. Quite a bit of chicken meat. To this, I'm also gonna add 1 medium onion. I've got it diced up really nice and small. I've got 2 large carrots and 2 stalks of celery. And I've got 4 cloves of minced garlic. Just gonna give this a little mix. And then you have your option. You can either do a brown rice, you can do lentils, or you can do pasta. So I'm actually opted to do some pasta today. And I calculated all of the carbs, the fats, all of that, and it came out just fine. It fits within an S meal. I'm gonna add some turmeric to that, about 1/4 teaspoon. I'm gonna add some mineral salt. I'm gonna add some black pepper. And I actually had a piece of ginger, but for my life I cannot find it. So I'm gonna be adding just a little bit of ground ginger. Not a whole lot, just a couple shakes to give it that really good flavor. And I'm gonna go ahead and start cooking this in my Instant Pot. And then once this is up to a boil, I'm gonna go ahead and cook my pasta separately. I'm gonna do a cup of pasta and then I'll add it to it after I drain it a little bit. I don't want it adding a lot of that floury stuff to my soup. So my soup is done. It's time to add my noodles. I went with something really simple. I love ramen noodles. So I just took a cup of those and I'm gonna be adding those to my soup. This soup came out so good. Now, I suggest for your own liking that you sample your soup, make sure that it's got enough salt and pepper and seasonings, whatever it is that you put in the soup, but this is just perfect for us. So the first thing I'm gonna do is try the broccoli spoon bread for you. I've cut it all up. Wow, that That is good. Mmm. Very delicious. Now let's try our soup. How beautiful that soup is. Mmm. Mmm. I would give this an A+. I give everything an A+. You must think, wow, that's really odd. She loves her own food. Well, I love all my recipes. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, making this delicious chicken soup along with this delicious spoon bread. I think this is something I'm going to be making now that it's fall. I'll probably make it a couple of times, and it's very good. Give it a try. So if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give me a like, a thumbs up, or ring that bell for future notifications, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.